Something's wrong, I feel it circling like vultures around my brain. Couldn't see the danger in your eyes. Draw me in, got me spinning now like water to a drain. You were perfect till I realized you hadn't shown your face. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out your prey. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong. I was deaf to the ringing bells, wanting me to break, deafened by the sirens' soothing lies. I can't leave, I am in too deep, been sinking for a while, prisoner to the same thing I despise, devoted to a fake. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out your prey. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory. You sing a pretty song to drag my heart along, a siren serenade. You're ringing out your prey. Your lungs are wrecking, you know it's wrong. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory. It's over, same story. You lose to love and glory.
Live, maar ik ben ook aan het spelen.
Hello, welcome to the newest episode of the Midweek Mix-Up Podcast with our awesome panel here. Of course, everyone bar one has downloaded the Forza Rally update and is desperate to play it, but I've forced them, for all of you guys, to sit here and talk about everything else.
Be ready for a short podcast.
Yeah. If we all seem a little distracted, it's because.
Welcome to the Forza Horizon Live podcast event.
This is karma for when they announced that Xbox event and they put it on at the same time as our show. This is them going, right, you guys had it early, like you had it good last time. Now we're going to stitch you up. We're going to release the update at exactly the time you lot want to start doing the podcast.
Yeah. They took revenge this time.
Mm-hmm.
But welcome everybody. Nonetheless, we've also got an awesome bunch of chaps already in the chat here. So welcome to everybody. And first off, a massive shout out to channel member Fantos for being a member for 12 months there, and the Mix Up Valkyrie. Let's go Mix Up crew. And one for Boxy here from Dave Ramos. Pineapple Pizza House music intro. Let's go. Thank you.
I cannot support that. I cannot support that.
You've been getting a lot of grief for pineapple pizza. I mean, the propaganda that's going on Twitter with
it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Yeah. and honestly, I blame Desi. I don't know whether he's in the chat or not.
He is.
He is. So I blame him. I blame him for that. Yeah.
No, you leave Daz alone. He gave me a raid last night on the stream, so thanks for that, mate. And you're all right by me.
Ever since Desi introduced, a GIF on his channel that has me carrying a pineapple pizza, the streets of Twitter are going wild, and people get even more disgusting. Now they want to combine it with tuna, and everything. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
People are disgusting.
Disgusting.
What's wrong with tuna on pizza?
It could be worse. In Iceland, they put banana on pizza.
All right, there's a
The other day, our pineapple Brudi posted a strawberry pizza.
That is vile.
That is vile.
I cannot co-sign a strawberry pizza. Pineapple's bad enough, but strawberry? Come on.
Come on. Right.
Anyway, this is not the pizza podcast, believe it or not.
It isn't. What the hell am I doing here?
Yes, and thank you for everybody that's watching, and I would assume, unlike us, of course, who are podcasting right now and not playing the DLC, other than Pat, who's definitely playing the DLC, and potentially Mick, who's probably playing the DLC.
Pat's unlocked all the achievements already, I know
Everybody else is probably multitasking and has our ears playing in the background, so appreciate you listening in whilst you're playing the Forza Horizon, a new DLC that's just literally just dropped. Or you could also be downloading it. And another hello and thank you to Marion the Mad, who's been a member for 18 months. I said, Midweek Mix-Up is back with another episode. Let's go. Thank you again for the continued support, everybody there. And welcome to everybody new and old in the chat there. It's great to see new faces, great to see old faces. But let's get into the topics. There's actually quite a bit to speak about today, actually. We haven't had a chance to play Forza Horizon Rally, so we'll leave that till next week and discuss our thoughts on it then. But we have had a chance to look at, play other games that have been out recently, get Boxy's thoughts on the Diablo beta that's finished now until full release. We've got updates from both the CMA and the Japanese Trade Commission with regards to the ABK acquisition. Positive updates that hopefully will be very close to bringing an end to this saga. And many other things.
Finally.
Many other things, including even more failures for the E3 return. But we'll get into it. Before we do, though, let's get our introductions out the way. First and foremost, the General C. How you doing, sir? What you been up to?
Yeah, not too bad. Actually got a bit more gaming in this week than I did last week. I've been playing a shit ton of Cyberpunk. I went back to that.
I did see
been
that.
really addicted to playing that. And Hunt Showdown, of course. They're the only real 2 games I've got to play. I did try and get on Sea of Tuesdays yesterday, but Wi-Fi, I wasn't having none of it. Because unfortunately, at the moment, I'm not wired because I've moved everything around. I need to run the wire again.
Yeah.
And I'm not able to do that just yet. So, yeah, hopefully by next week that's sorted, or possibly the week after that. And I'll be able to join you properly without being lagged across the universe of Sea of Thieves. Yeah, the water didn't look too fine yesterday when everything was lagging, I'll tell you that.
I'm
So
not,
I was very
I'm not being funny,
disappointed.
mate, but it was playing up for me, and I am wired yesterday, so yeah, not surprised, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I'm usually like captivated just by staring into the ocean in that game, and I wasn't on for it yesterday, so I had to eventually give up trying to reset my internet and getting back on. So yeah, so shed a tear after that. I wasn't able to stare at the water for hours on end.
Yeah, that's all right. It's
But
all
yeah,
right. I
that's
have
pretty
noticed
much
it. And again,
my week gaming.
were you playing Cyberpunk in anticipation for the update that's due in the next few months?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going through the entire game again as a nomad.
Nomad's the best, by far.
Doing all the side missions first before I go on to main story missions. And
I would disagree. Corpo is the way to go.
Corpo, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's either Street Kid or Nomad. My first playthrough was a Street Kid all the way. I'm not enjoying a Nomad as much as I was Street Kid, but it's fine. You won't see me being no sleazy corpo guy. No, not me.
Never mind. Next up,
Especially in the universe of Cyberpunk.
Next up, Boxy. How are you doing, sir? Welcome back. You
Well, thank
of
you.
course, you were here for us last week, but you didn't have a chance. Actually, were you here last week or were you away last week? I can't remember.
Oh, I think I was away.
Yes,
was
away.
last
Yeah, I
or
think
2
you were.
weeks ago.
I think you were away.
No. Last week he was not here. Last week he was not here.
Yeah. So
Welcome back.
then I missed last shows. Thank you, fine sir. Yeah, I'm doing good. I had a fantastic weekend. I went to Austria with 11 guys that I know from school. So we've been friends for many years, and one of us had his 40th birthday, and he booked a big cabin in Austria, and we all went there without the wives and without the kids, and
Nice.
what happened in Austria stays in Austria, but it was awesome.
Very drunk, I'm guessing.
Dude, you have no idea. It was awesome. So let me put it this way. So
now I'm imagining the plot of the Hangover movies. Just box and burger in those movies.
We could make a movie out of that.
Oh my god.
No,
He's not saying what kind of movie.
Dude, I was not implying that. So no, it was really a good weekend, but of course that meant did not get much gaming time in. And our Pineapple Prudy in the chat, Hertog Win, he already asks if I ate pineapple pizza there, and of course I did not. Of course not. No. But when I came home Sunday evening, a little hungover, and after a 5-hour drive, I booted up Diablo and played for a good 2 hours as the Necromancer.
Nice.
And I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's OP. Like let's be real, the Necromancer was OP, but that you and I, we had the same feeling about the Sorcerer the weekend before that. So
I thought the Sorcerer was OP until I fought a Shava, the Pestilent, and I got one hit many times. He just one hit my level 25 Sorcerer, just one hitters. I was like,
okay,
yeah, God.
Well, you lucky guy, man, that you ran into that world boss.
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen your video. You posted like a 10-minute or 12-minute clip or so.
Yeah.
You fighting that thing. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. But what did you think of the Necromancer?
Yeah, again, it's OP, but then it makes me think, is it OP or is the Necromancer and the Sorcerer just leaps above the others when it comes to damage per second, which is what it feels like?
See, I had a similar thought. And when I look back at the other Diablos, Diablo 3 and especially Diablo 2, different characters had different strength during different periods of the leveling, like in the first 30 levels in Diablo 3, the Barbarian felt so OP, and then it just fell off. Yeah, and the sorcerer, for instance, had a very slow start in Diablo 3, and then became like super OP towards the end. So I don't know where will land with those characters, because
we
own
flip the tables this time, and sorcerer and necromancer are OP at the start and really weak at the end.
So
where it become more tanky at the end with the barbarian and take loads of hits.
Exactly. So we don't know. Yeah, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But as of right now, they are both very, very fun to play. They play vastly different, but both are really good fun. So usually I play the damage dealer, the sorcerer or whatever. Is typically my class to go.
Yeah.
But man, that necromancer made me think whether I should go necromancer first.
I'm still really loving sorcerer. I'm still like, that is definitely
the sorcerer.
I think that's definitely my starter for when it full release. I'm definitely going to start with sorcerer. I had a little bit of fun with druid, but at the same time it was like he felt a bit gimmicky, just turning into a bear and things like that.
I didn't have the chance to try the druid. It's the only class I haven't played yet, so
you didn't really miss much.
Yeah, I heard not many good things about it, honestly. So yeah. Other than that, I have started Resident Evil 4.
Nice.
A remake.
Early thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's really early thoughts because, again, I came home Sunday evening, played a little bit Diablo. On Monday, I didn't game at all because, I had to catch up on a couple of things. The adult stuff you have to do as a father and husband.
Yeah.
So there are things to do, and then on Tuesday I started Resident Evil 4. Played. I'm probably now, I want to say 1.5, 2 hours in. So it's really early, but fantastic. Really, it is as good as everyone says it is. The atmosphere is incredible. It looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. It is the best Resident Evil for so many reasons. And this remake does the game justice. So it's, what can I say? It's incredible, man. And I just want to play more. That's
awesome. Yeah. Next up, because we're going to get a little bit more into Diablo in a second when we finish the introductions and get Pat's thoughts, because obviously we both said Pat needed to play it, so we'll get Pat's thoughts on Diablo. We'll get mixed thoughts on Diablo as well, because he's kind of mixed on it as well. I think Jen's the only one that didn't have a chance to play it, but that's okay.
I did play it. I played it with you and Pat for a bit.
You did. So I do want to know
your
thoughts.
I didn't get much time on it.
I do want to know your thoughts, yeah.
I didn't get to play as much as I'd like to have because I had to jump off.
Yeah.
Don't really want to go into details on that life stuff.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's fine. But we'll get everyone's thoughts in a moment. Before we do, though, Xbox Mick, how you doing, sir? What you been up to? What you been playing?
Good, man. Yeah, I been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves, just trying to get my servant level up to 200. Managed to do that over the community weekend, and now I'm gonna wait for the next event, and I'm gonna go for getting the Guardians up to 200 as well. I'm 100 and something on that one, and slowly grind my way up to 1,000 on each. But I'm only doing it in the weekends when it's got the boosts, because it's hard. It feels like you're not getting anywhere quick when you're not doing it on the weekends where you've got the XP boosts. So I don't want it that bad.
Yeah.
I'll just wait for the weekends where we get the boosts, and I'll do it then.
That's fair.
But other than that, I've been playing some more Miles Morales, getting through that.
Nice.
And that's about it, I think, for playing stuff at the moment. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's about it.
Awesome stuff. Patchu, welcome, sir. How are you? What you been up to? What you been playing?
You. Yeah, I'm doing good, guys.
Just let him finish his race. He's
where have
almost
we
there.
not been? My last race at work is off, so and then Monday I'm gonna start.
Ooh.
And
Is he
I've been
botting
playing,
for you?
of course, Diablo with you. And
Yeah, you're botting a little bit.
wait, sorry.
You're botting a little bit.
Yeah, I have some issues because you guys were also lagging when you were talking.
Ah,
I know what it is. I have. Wait, maybe this helps. Nee, maar ik heb problemen met die. Ik heb ook problemen met hun, maar.
we can hear you all right when the
I don't
camera's
know
off.
if this helps. If I.
Yeah, just do that. If that'll
Alright.
help, that'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I will do that. But yeah, like I said, been playing some Diablo, of course, too. Played some Call of Duty. Also been waiting for the release of Forza, of course. So the last few days I've been playing a little bit of Forza just to prepare, and yeah, that's that. I think that's about it.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, and for me, I've been playing a little bit of Forza, of course. The update before the update, getting everything sorted, getting a lot of cars tuned and things like that with the new anti-lag systems, new body kits, new tires, put all that stuff ready, got all my rally cars and my off-roaders all ready for the new DLC. That is obviously available to everybody now. And playing that. I've also been playing Diablo, of course, and it's one of them things where after I played Diablo, I didn't really know what else I wanted to play. Quite difficult.
It is. Go get Resident Evil. It's good.
I'm waiting on it. There's no rush for that for me. It is my favorite Resident Evil, but I've played it before, so it's not like top of the priority list to play it again at the minute.
Yep. I'm in the same boat. I played that game multiple times on multiple systems because they've released that thing on almost everything.
Yeah. What I have played a little, started a new game on though the other day was Outer Worlds. I went back and played Outer Worlds again.
Who might have inspired you to do that?
Foxy inspired me to do that because he started a new game. Yeah, I did.
That's the spirit, man.
It's one of my it's definitely one of my favorite, should I say, Fallout-esque games, and of course it's by the Kings, Obsidian. Absolutely phenomenal.
Just so good.
Phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And Outer Worlds 2 is one of my most anticipated in development games. And I know we've only seen a jokey trailer that they put together, but the humor, the hype, the way they put that trailer together, just the craftsmanship in the first one and that trailer, I just can't wait for the second one to come out. So yeah, it made us want to go back and play it again. So I started a new game. I'm being a little bit more of an arsehole to the characters this time around. I was really nicey first time. This time I've decided just to be an arsehole. See what happens.
Why not? Why not?
Let's see what happens. So when she's like asking us, like Pavarti's asking to talk to us all the time, I'm like, nope, I haven't got time for this. Walking away. But yeah, it's such a great game.
I need to go back and play that. I got a significant way through it,
Yeah.
and then I just stopped playing it.
Oh god, yeah, it's so much fun. And I think, to be honest, that's about it. Like I say, Forza, Diablo, Outer Worlds, and of course Sea of Tuesdays again with Mick yesterday. Got a lot of loot, had some awesome fun killing a lot of ships. Took a lot of damage.
Almost got snuck up on at the end.
Almost by this dude that tried to climb on the ship, and Mick spotted him last second. He was like, wait a second. Wait a minute, there's a mermaid in the water. Where does that come from? Well, no, it was awesome. Good fun. A lot of loot, a lot of gold. But yes, then we returned to today. And of course, with the launch of the Forza Horizon 5 expansion rally adventure, course, earlier this week, we also had the launch on PC of The Last of Us 1 Remake, which has had some negative press.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's an understatement. And of course, we had the unveiling of Zelda gameplay as well yesterday. Very early though, because for some reason they wanted to do a really early showcase for that. So I was at work, did not see it live, had to watch it back afterwards. It was quite early in the day. But yes, so we're going to touch on that, touch on E3, the CMA stuff, Diablo stuff. There's a lot of news. But first and foremost, let's get into that Diablo stuff. And to go along with it, of course, we've still got some awesome gameplay from myself and Boxy when we played.
Oh, nice.
So there we go.
Nice.
We've got some awesome gameplay there. We've got a nice little layout of our beautiful faces around here. So people should be able to see. But yes, Diablo 4, of course. It had 2 beta weekends. Of course, the closed one, which is when me and Boxy predominantly played it. The first weekend, we got a lot of hours in then. Got a lot of levels up then. Leveled up a lot of characters. So it was a lot to see there. And then, of course, the second weekend, which was open to everybody, including those who had pre-ordered and already played the first weekend. So everybody got a chance to kind of dive in and see if it was something that they wanted to play or they wanted to download it, etc. And again, had a lot of fun. Tried out a few new characters, of course. In the second weekend, they added the Druid and the Necromancer to the already available Rogue, Sorcerer, and Barbarian. So 5 in total to choose from. But I want to get into it first. I'm going to ask Boxy on both weekends because we haven't had a chance really to get your thoughts on the game overall. Anyway, on your thoughts on it. So, Boxy, what's your Diablo 4 in a nutshell from what you've played in this very large beta? What's your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah, fan-freaking-tastic. It is everything I hope for and more. Honestly, I'm a big Diablo fan. No secret there. I even loved Diablo 3. I know people now make it out to be a bad game, but it isn't. It was fantastic. I have hundreds of hours in Diablo 3. And this one just nails it. You know, you have like the atmosphere of Diablo 2, which is what everyone wanted. They left the comic-y art style behind. They went back to this dark and gritty world, you know, everything. We don't have a World of Warcraft inspired art style in Diablo anymore. So they nailed it there. It plays butter smooth. So good. I mean, if you turn off VRR, you can notice some hiccups here and there, but it just plays butter smooth. The loot system is as deep as you want it to be. The progression system is even more complex than in the last one. You can specialize on so many things that go so well together. The world design is fantastic. I love this new approach where they have this overworld that you share with other players. So you walk out of the city, you just have random events. And we have a guest here.
Little bees joined.
Yeah. Hey there, sweetie. And then, yeah, you have these world events that everyone can join. And when you go into a dungeon, you're on your own or with your party, and it just plays and so well. Yeah, it just all comes together fantastic. The addictive loot grind is there, you know, the rewards in choosing your progression carefully, combining certain skills with other abilities and everything. It just comes together so well. The sound design. People are not talking enough about the sound design and the audio design. It is amazing. I played it on my surround sound 5.1 surround system. Fantastic. With Dolby Atmos. with the headphones. Sounds absolutely brilliant. Man, what can I say? I'm gonna spend hundreds of hours in this game, and all I want to know is how good is the end game. I mean, that's a big question.
Yeah.
You know, it will probably take you in your first playthrough, I would guess, somewhere around 40 to 50 hours. And then Diablo starts. You know, every Diablo, the campaign is just like the prologue. Yeah, you know, like the intro. It's a tutorial. That's what the Diablo campaign is, and then you actually start the game. And I do hope they nail it, because of course, in this day and age, we've seen it so many times with games. Yeah, that especially those games that want to be a service game, that want to have a steady player base for months and years to come. Almost none of them get it right at launch. Almost none. Which game launched recently that you can think of where people were like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's a great end game. That's enough content. That's exactly what we wanted." I mean, look at all of them.
Hogwarts. That's about it.
Nah, that's not no, because Hogwarts is really not a live service game.
Yeah.
True.
So which service game you can think of? It's really hard to think of one, and that's what I'm a little bit concerned about. But then what they have described, what the end game will be, it sounds like they get it right. Yeah, man. Like world events, world bosses. You have different dungeon tiers. You have everything we want. Hertog Quinn says Destiny 2 got the biggest shitstorm I've ever seen in a sequel, honestly, because of the missing end game content.
Yeah.
There was literally nothing there. And if it would not have carried the legacy name from Destiny 1 after launch, honestly, the game would have died. Yeah, just like Anthem
Both
did.
Destiny 1 and 2 launched fairly bland, though.
Yeah.
Destiny 1 was terrible.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there have not been games that turned the ship around. Yeah, I know you guys love to play Sea of Thieves, but Sea of Thieves had this problem as well at launch. Yeah,
So
there was no content.
Never mind end game content.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that the ship can't be turned around. I'm just saying that which live service game did get it right at launch. So this will be the big challenge, and that's my little concern there, because sometimes, honestly, let's be real here, us gamers are a little overcritical with some things.
Yeah.
If Diablo has only like 100 hours of gameplay at launch, people will start to complain. You know, I don't know. And then, so yeah. But other than that, man, the game is fantastic. It plays great. It feels great. The atmosphere is there. The loot is there. The addictiveness is there. So what's there to complain, man? I cannot wait for June.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got to agree, to be honest, the biggest thing that people are mentioning that I've seen online as well is, aside from the fact that it's like an MMO light version of Diablo, which to me is fine. I don't mind the open world bit with loads of characters running around and loads of different people that are playing the game, etc. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. Like, I'm always connected anyway, so I don't care if there's more people wandering around the road. When it comes to the dungeons, it's only me and the party that I'm with, so it makes no difference on that front. It's just the overworld that have got these people, and then they make use of that with things like world events and world bosses, etc., where you can have parties of 12. So it's even better then. But the end game is everyone's concern. It's like, yeah, the beta was good, but we all know it's what is the end game. That's what we're concerned
You
about.
know, I just thought of a game that did get it right at launch, and everyone was like, yeah, that's the way to go, and that was Lost Ark.
Yeah.
No one complained about Lost Ark when that game came out, man.
Yeah. It's a good shout.
It's probably really the only one I can think of. So if you guys in chat have any suggestions of a game that came out, launch a service game, and people were happy with it at launch, let me know.
Yeah.
Everything okay over there, Pat?
Yeah, my phone fell.
I thought you fell over or something.
But Pat, being the newest
Yeah, man.
Diablo player, I think you and Jen are the newest Diablo players here. But you're definitely kind of new overall to kind of different types of video games. And of course, having played the Ascent, Boxenberger, of course, rightly said, and I think me and Boxenberger, this was months and months ago, when you first completed the Ascent, we said, you're definitely going to like Diablo.
Yeah.
So having played Diablo this weekend, and of course managed to play it co-op with myself and Jen, what were your thoughts on Diablo 4?
Well, Boxy, thank you, man, for recommending Diablo because I really enjoyed
Always.
this game.
Awesome, man. We need to
yeah.
party up, dude. Once it's June, we have to party up.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed it. I actually went back in the game Monday because Monday you were still able to play the open beta till 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
So in the afternoon, I did some gameplay by myself. Pretty hard though, because with the bosses that you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's really good. It's a really good challenge also. And I was lucky enough that Dutch provided me some good gear, like from plus 200 to plus 400. So all the stuff that dropped for me was too low. But yeah, it's the game looks really good. Of course, it's a beta, so you have a little bit of problems with a little bit of lagging and stuff. But when the game comes out, you don't have that. But yeah,
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully. But overall, the game looked really good. The gameplay is really nice. You have a lot of enemies that you can kill, and and I think the story behind it also is really awesome. And the cutscenes.
Great point. Yeah, man.
And
The stories really stood out. I fully agree, and that's a first, honestly, in Diablos, because if we are real, the story in 1 to 3, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So great point, Pat. Yeah.
This is I
So,
fully
yeah,
agree.
it's,
Well, I think Pat, this is the first time that I've played a Diablo where I've actually enjoyed, especially Lilith, like the actual end game bosses, as it were, the kind of predominant evil in the game. It's the first time I've really enjoyed kind of seeing that character on screen and seeing what the story is around them and how it unfolds and things like that. Like every other Diablo, it's kind of just there. You don't really pay attention.
So like I'm totally not familiar with the previous ones, but this stood out for me really. You Dutch, of course, knew already like the good cutscenes and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. It's really, I really enjoyed that beta. Even I didn't play that long. I think we played like 3 hours straight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't
that went
realize
quick. That
we were
went
like,
really
we've
quick.
been playing 3 hours. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is definitely a game that I really want to play though.
yeah. Absolutely. And that's another good thing I liked about the party system there, of course, as well. And of course, this was available on others, but I still like the fact that you can do this. Because obviously, when I was getting loot that I couldn't use, but was available for like Pat's character, I could just drop that much higher because I was level 25. So I could just drop that loot on the floor. Pat was picking it up and he could use it, and it was like 300 damage per second higher than any loot that was dropping for him. So it was automatically giving him a big leg up. So yeah, I love it when you're able to do that. And of course, it comes in really handy when you're playing with your friends and you kind of get awesome loot, but you're already maxed out, so you can share all the spoils of war with them as well. That's
and also and before we continue, also one thing that I really like is the the open world thing, you know, like where you can also see other players and that you can actually like see their character and what they have like for armor and weapons and that kind of stuff. I did like that because when I played by myself on Monday, I literally walked into the town there and just checking out other players, and yeah, it's nicely done, seriously.
Yeah, yeah, and what it also does as well is make you like when you're inspecting other players and you see like really cool armor bits and things. You're like, I wonder what armor set that is. Like, I really want that armor set. That looks so cool. But I got an achievement actually on not an achievement, an in-game challenge, as it were, an in-game challenge to say that I'd unlocked all of the different armor and weapon types, or at least I'd collected all of the different armor and weapon types available for the sorcerer in the beta. So I must have already just unlocked all versions of what I could wear. But no, there was a lot to choose from, and again, this is go on.
Impressive.
I just popped up when I was fighting a Shava. It just went, boop, you've got everything. I was like, oh, okay. Fair enough. But yes, before I give my full thoughts on it as well, I'm going to jump to another new player to the series, and that's Jen. Having also played co-op with us for a few hours. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There was a bit of lag, but you expect that from a beta. Hopefully that's sorted out by the time the full game comes out in June, right? It's coming out in June.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely adored it. I played the Ascent. I didn't complete the Ascent though, because around the time when that game came out, there was a lot of problems with that. So I left that game and never came back. I should go back because I did enjoy what I played.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll do that soon in anticipation of this. But yeah, I picked Necromancer. I didn't get a chance to try out any of the other characters. I didn't get as much time on it as I'd liked to have got on the beta over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm all about like raising the dead, so that's why I picked Necromancer. I thought that was really cool. You can raise like little skeletons, but you can actually like change what type of skeletons, which I didn't really get a chance to do. I only found that out afterwards. So I think you can have skeletons with shields and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I'm interested in trying that when the full game comes out. Story-wise, I didn't really focus on it too much because, again, it's a beta. I'm going to play the game when it comes out. I'd rather focus on the story then. So I couldn't say I was really focused on the story. The cutscenes are absolutely amazing, though. They're graphically awesome. The character designs are really cool. The design of Lilith is pretty fucking awesome too.
Yeah. I think you know what it is. I haven't seen a bad word said about Lilith. I think everybody loves that her as a protagonist. It is just so well done.
The part that's on screen now on the show where this guy just gets absolutely demolished by everyone in the church. Poor guy, he just gets obliterated. I was laughing at that when me, you, and Pat were watching it. I was just in hysterics. He's just getting beaten. He's taking it like a champ.
Brutal.
It's brutal.
The expression on her face.
Yeah, and everyone's just like smiling maniacally. I'm really looking forward to playing the full game. Having never really played any of the other full games, I think I tried it was either Diablo 2 or Diablo 3 beta ages ago. And I never got the game because really I never had anyone to play Diablo with. Not really many people in my friend group back then when I was a lonely nobody played Diablo. But now I've got people to play with, so I'm looking forward to jumping on with all yous in co-op when the full game comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Definitely.
And hopefully by then it'll be in Game Pass, maybe not. But either way, I'm getting it.
Yeah. I was going to say even then, the one kind of bonus I think this Diablo's got over previous ones, especially with because everyone keeps mentioning the launch and how the kind of starts of these weekends has been a bit rocky with the servers, etc. With this having an earlier launch for those with deluxe and ultimate editions, the servers will be online 4 days earlier than it will be for the rest of those getting standard versions of the game. So the servers are actually going to be up, getting tested, getting patched for 4 days prior to the actual standard edition launch. So I think it's going to have a much better standard reception. But for those who have got deluxe and ultimate editions, me and Boxy, first couple of days are going to be a bit rough.
Technically, you're still beta testing it because the game doesn't officially launch until 4 days later. So expect hiccups in those 4 days, especially with the servers.
I'd expect hiccups on launch day when all you deluxe players have gotten used to playing it. And suddenly a million more people try and log in and everything just goes boom.
Yeah.
And all the servers just go to an hour-long queue times. So,
After the amount of people that actually jumped on the beta, I'd expect them to have the servers sorted out by launch. That's why they do these stress tests. But
I like your thinking. I like the way that you've used common sense.
it is Activision Blizzard. And we know how servers go down with Activision Blizzard.
You know what the good thing is, though, with them, and the one thing I really liked about the way that they implemented their server changes, is every time you logged into the game, it literally has an updated reference as to what's going on. So, for instance, when Jen went on, it literally said, we're doing rolling restarts. You may face disconnections whilst we're doing this. And to be fair, later on that evening, like this was only like the next day from opening it up to the public, and they said they'd had literally 4 times the amount of people on the open weekend that they did on the closed weekend. So it's a massive jump in that. And within 1 day, they'd patched it to completely stable, and there was 0 disconnects for the rest of the weekend after the rolling restart. Like late Saturday, all of Sunday, and the rest of Monday, there was no issues. None.
Hopefully at launch there isn't, because there was issues with Call of Duty at launch when the multiplayer went live.
Yeah.
Don't you remember the amount of disconnects we all had when we were trying to all get in games with each other? So one would hop in and then the other one would get disconnected, and then they'd jump in and someone else would get disconnected.
Yeah.
Or we'd play a game and then everyone would get disconnected.
I think
So,
the one thing is, though, is, I know Diablo is massive and it gets a lot of players, but again, we underestimate just how many millions of people play Call of Duty on day one. And people think, oh, it's just you should have the servers fixed by now, but it makes no difference if you have or haven't got the servers ready. You're still gonna have 1 million people trying to access something, or 2 million people trying to access something in 1 day. You know what happens when websites have these like flash sales and things like that, and they just go boop, gone, broke. You cannot.
I remember what it was like trying to pre-order the Xbox on Amazon and the website died.
Dear God, yeah.
Oh man,
I remember that.
I got quite lucky. It only took me about half an hour, 40 minutes, and I had to stop the van while I was working.
We
pull
all
over into a lay-by. But I remember Chris spent about 3 hours. Him and his missus both trying to pre-order that. So
when the Series X,
I remember that day.
Pre-order was there. Me, I've forgotten who it was. I think it might have been me, Pat, Shom, and Erwin were all sitting in a party. I think it was either a party or on StreamYard or something, and all of we were just sitting ready to order, and we're like, right, let's see if we can get one quickly. And it
was the same with the damn limited edition Halo one on the Microsoft website. That website died as well.
For some reason, I managed to get one like that. The Halo one I got absolutely no problem, but the original console, it was like I ended up ordering 3 because the website broke, and I had 3 in my basket, and for some reason I was like, I don't want 3, so I had to ring Microsoft. And I was like, listen, I just want 1. I can't afford 3. So they cancelled.
It's funny like that when websites go down now. It's like, oh, you want to pre-order?
Pre-order all of them.
Fuck, are ya?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who you guys?
All of them are for you. They're all yours now, so tough. Oh no, I can't afford 3 Xbox Series X's. Take it out. But yeah, the only reason I had to ring them anyway was because there was a warning saying if you order more than 1, we'll cancel both. And I was like, absolutely not. So I went on and cancelled one myself, and then I had to ring them to cancel the other one because it wouldn't let us cancel it for some reason. And I was like, yeah, I only want 1. So thankfully, obviously, it all went to plan. Apart from the Amazon delivery, which didn't arrive till something like 11 o'clock at night. on the day of release,
Mm.
and that wasn't even my
It's
Xbox.
pretty much the
that was a
same for
friend's.
me.
Yeah.
Mine was a DPD driver, and he turned up at about 8 o'clock at night, and I actually felt sorry for the guy. He looked beat,
Yep.
and I was like, and he just came up to the door. He was just like, "Here we are," and I'm like, "You're right, mate." He's like, yeah,
I've had to deliver 1,000 of these today.
I was going to say, how many of those packages have you had? And he went, he said the pallets of them came in this morning. He didn't even know what was in them. He just like, he had no idea. I said, it's the new Xbox. And he went, oh, that's what it is.
But to this day, he's like, cursed Microsoft. Curse you, Microsoft.
Bless him.
But yeah, I fully expect there's bound to be issues. Unfortunately, it's like unlike an ideal world, you're gonna go on and the servers are gonna be fine. But even the most talented of server maintenance teams and network engineers, etc., you're always gonna have issues. There's always gonna be things crop up that you cannot predict and cannot.
We've had these server issues since the early days of Xbox Live, all the way through the 360. Nothing's going to change. Doesn't matter what era of gaming we're going to get in. There's always going to be server issues on day one. Mm-hmm. It's natural. As much as it pisses people off, and they're right to be pissed off, it's the unfortunate of millions of people trying to get on the game at the same time. It's going to crash the servers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of traffic at once.
A lot, and it's like, again, it's never just because the servers can't handle it. It's usually there's some back end stuff, and something goes wrong, and they're just like, well, what is it that's causing these disconnections? What is it that's causing the latency? What is it that's causing all of this stuff to happen? So it's all stuff that sometimes can't be reproduced easily, and then they have to try and reproduce it to find out what's causing the fault, and then go from there. But even then, I seen Rod Ferguson put a post up as well yesterday, and he's clearly poor. Him and his team, absolute champions, getting these 2 weekends relatively smooth, I would say, after the first days of each one. But they've already began work going through all of the posts on the forum. They put up a little thing saying, like, sitting there going through every individual thing and replying to them to say, okay, what's the issue? This is the issue. Okay, what? Let's try and fix it. So they're going through the forums now. They're working through all the issues that everyone's pointed out. So, yeah, they've got a couple of months to get through all of these network problems and weird things. I had a really weird bug, actually, and I don't know whether or not anybody else experienced it. And I was telling Pat and Jen about this.
I was in party with you for like an hour, and you were trying to figure it out.
It is. I have absolutely no idea. So I would launch Diablo, but just the game, nothing on the Xbox, every other app on the Xbox, it working absolutely fine. When I launched Diablo, the A button did not work on the controller. So I couldn't start the game. I couldn't select a character. If I managed to start the game, I couldn't use A at all. I couldn't select anything with A. I couldn't leave the game. I couldn't do anything. So, but it was only, and then sometimes I'd have to switch the controller like 3 times, 4 times, and then a random controller, even though they all work, would start working, and I could use the A. And then I'd plug in another controller, and then the A wouldn't work again. I'd be like, what is this bug? This is the most weird thing to try and describe to somebody that's trying to fix this issue. Like, sometimes a controller works on everything, but not your game. And I switched the controller 3 times to 3 fully working controllers, and only one of them, the A button, works on the game. The other 2 working controllers, the A button doesn't work on the game. But sometimes one of the ones where it doesn't work will work. Like, what is this bug? And how can that be reproduced? I don't know. Like, it was.
But that's weird because I'm experiencing also like problems with my controller the last few days with the Forza Horizon controller. I don't know if it's an issue on the controller or if it's like an issue in the game, because out of nowhere I cannot use any buttons, and my car, for example, if I play Forza, my car just keep driving and steering to the left. So we make donuts all the time. And when I take out the batteries, put them back in, and it works all, and then it works again. So
It's so weird.
That's a
yeah,
weird
it's
one.
weird, but
Yeah, it was just so baffling. Like I could not understand it. And then like the next day, the controller would work absolutely fine on the game, and the A button would work okay. And I was like, what is what? And these are the things that I think people need to understand, that developers have got to try and try and fix. Things that you can't explain yourself, that they would read and go, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and I don't know how to reproduce that fault. But somehow we're going to have to try and fix that fault. Because it's going to be hard to reproduce, and if it happens, people can't play the game. Because essentially, if I only had one controller, and that was the controller I had to use, even though it worked on every other game and every other app on the Xbox, it didn't work on Diablo. And I don't know how you would come to the bottom of trying to fix that issue. That's
weird,
what
but,
developers have got to
no
deal
idea.
with. That's the kind of weird shit they have to try and fix. So yeah, the end point of that really for me is give the developers a little bit of space. Sometimes they've got to fix really weird shit. That goes for servers, controller issues, lag issues, input issues, whatever it is. Sometimes there's just a lot of stuff that happens, and it's really hard to reproduce and explain, and then fix on the back end.
And then to go off the back of that,
Yeah.
they've also got things like I was playing the game with Sightless Combat,
Yeah.
who, for those of you who don't know, is completely blind. So we were playing the game together, and we had feedback for them. He knows somebody on the team that gave him the code. So we relayed a load of feedback about improvements they could make for him and people like him. So they've got that to go with as well. Just as if they haven't got enough to do, we had a bunch of ideas and things how they could make it so that Sightless could play the game easier. So yeah, not to put them under any pressure, but here's about 10 more things that we think you should put in your game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was playing with Sightless, and we managed to navigate him. Well, I managed to navigate him round by just using the weapon. I was a barbarian.
Okay.
This was on the closed beta, and I can swing my sword, and he can hear where I am and follow the sound. And if I get into a fight, he can obviously hear the fighting, so he knows where that is as well.
Yeah.
And we just navigated around. We managed to get all the way through, and I can't remember what the boss was, but it's one where you find this girl's mother, and she's been turned
Yes.
by
By Lilith.
thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go on to fight like the shadow of Lilith or whatever it is. It's sort of like a red hologrammy thing that. Oh no, it's her. Sorry, it's her mum, but she's got these projection things. She keeps spawning more.
Yeah.
And we got beat the first time. We managed to go back and beat it together. With me being able to kind of watch where he is and go, I'm down. Can you go to the left and up a bit and then respawn me? And he'd be able to sort of navigate his way to me by me giving him instructions as to where we were. It was interesting. But one of the systems we did think of was like a ping system, so that he can just press a button and it would ping and be able to tell where the nearest player or the player most in need was. So, well, yeah, it was good. It was a good game. We enjoyed it. It's my only thing is I've sort of gone off the Diablo kind of style games, or I have to be in the mood for them. So I was thinking about buying it, but after playing it, I've realized that it's good, but I'm not in the mood for it at the moment. So I'll probably just wait and hope that it comes to Game Pass, and then I'll play it.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I was going to try and get to the level 25. Is it to try and get the
maximum
bonus?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they put it on at the same week as a community weekend for Sea of Thieves, so that one out. But my need to get to level 200 was greater, unfortunately. So.
That's fair.
But I enjoyed it though. It was a good game.
Awesome stuff.
Gory as well. I like the gore.
Yeah.
Much better than 3.
Yeah.
There was some awesome.
Brutal.
You know what to kind of add to that as well. I played quite a few of the side quests, and there was a lot. And to be fair, the more I played it, the more random side quests seemed to pop up on the map. which was awesome for a beta because I didn't expect them to have that many side quests in there, but they had a lot. And there was quite a few awesome little side quests for some cool little stories. One of the favourite ones, and people might have played this, was you speak to some wife and her husband's went missing, and he's essentially been enticed away by this woman who happens to be a demon, but he doesn't know that, and he's kind of strung up, and he's been kind of, all of his skin's been ripped off, and he's been like tortured repeatedly, and he's like, I want more, and he's just blood everywhere, and he's chained up to this thing. You've got to go and kill some other demon, and eventually the wife just has to kill her husband because he's like completely enthralled by pain for pleasure essentially, and he just wants more of it. But at that point, he's just essentially dead and just hooked up. But there was some awesome,
That sounds fun.
awesome and gory stories. But there's a lot of them kind of gory things around the world, and there was one boss, Boxy, that was more difficult to beat than Ashava. And that was some guy who every time I leveled up his level in the game, you might have faced him as well, kept on
The
increasing.
butcher.
No, not the butcher. Not the butcher. There was another boss. It was a side quest that popped up, and you had to clear some town. And then this big guy pops up, and you've got to like clear all these things, and he's being like locked in by this mad gateway with like loads of beams everywhere, and you've got to clear these segments of a camp. And then there's this one giant demon in the middle, and he was this was a max level 25 character, and he was just wiping me out, and I was getting him down to like a quarter of his health bar, and he's just just done, absolutely done. But he's got loads of area effect things, and you're kept into like a very small ring that you've got to fight him in, so you don't have much space to kind of run away from his attacks. So I mean, maybe as a team of 2, 3, 4, you'd take him out, okay. But every time you gained a level, when I checked him on the map, he'd gained another couple levels. So no matter what level you are, he's higher, basically. He's not one of them characters that stays low. But he was harder than Ashava the Pestilent by a long shot. He was a pain in the arse. Big pain.
Sounds like it, man. Sounds like it.
Yeah, but yeah, speaking on that, I did have the opportunity to play Ashava the Pestilent, which is the one and only world boss event that they had on for both weekends, which is the first time they've done this for a beta. And of course, the world boss events mean that up to 12 people that are playing in the server can take on a huge world boss. That gives you a lot of loot if you beat it within the required time frame. So you get 15 minutes to take it down. And they are no joke. So I was, again, level 25. I was max level for the beta. I had as high a level gear as I could that had been upgraded multiple times over. Most of them to the max they could be. So I was as high as damage as you could do with a sorcerer. And one swipe of the wing on the ground, and I was knocked out. And it wasn't a case of it was just a one-hit thing. It had like the kind of poison type effect to his attack. So because it hit you with such power, it was just constantly draining your health. So even when you had to use all 5 potions to stay with a smidge of your health and stay alive, but then you had no potions. So you couldn't do anything about it, and then you get taken out anyway. So it was just literally a one-hit kill. So you had to avoid his attacks. If you didn't, you're dead.
Okay.
And it was wild, but it was such good fun. We had a full 12 there. We had a boatload of necromancers, a load of sorcerers, and a couple of barbarians. But even with all of those, it took 12 of the 15 minutes to take them down. So it tells you how much of a ball ache he is to really go at. Yeah, it was good fun, and if that's kind of just an example of what we can expect to play in the world bosses, that's a very good start. You do get a lot for it, so I got 6 legendary items, and other rare items. So you get a lot of loot, and they're very high level stuff as well, like lots of damage, etc. So well worth it. and I'm
Nice.
really, really looking forward to it. Before we move on to the next topic, I want to ask everybody the question here. Will we be getting the game on day one? Boxy, first
I
of all.
already have it pre-ordered, of course. Of course, man. What a
If you
question.
hadn't having played this beta, would it have enticed you to then pick it up?
Absolutely. I mean, what's there to complain, honestly? Really, it was just pure fun. It is a pure fun game.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. Jen, what about yourself?
Very, very likely that I'm going to pick it up day one. I won't commit to 100% yet because I don't know what money's going to be like. There's lots of games between now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome stuff. Patcher, what about yourself? Is this more likely after playing this beta and never having played Diablo before that you're going to get this in June?
There is a highly good chance that I will get it. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. And I think, Mick,
Yeah.
we've seen you kind of say that you're unlikely to get it on day one.
Yeah, I might still, but I think I'll probably just wait until it probably. I'm sure we'll go into this
Yes.
ABK deal and stuff. I know they said no plans,
Yeah.
but if anybody out there knows PR
But
speak,
yeah.
no plans means we ain't going to say nothing because we
I
can't.
mean, that would be the case because they're not actually owned by Xbox yet. But as soon as they are, that could change like that, and it could be going into Game Pass day and date for all we know.
I don't think even if they do get it, it'll go in day and date because I think there's probably still some clauses with other things that restrict that. Knowing what Sony and these people do with small clauses that keep things out of Game Pass and all the rest of it, there could still be some small thing in there that they've promised Sony something and they won't allow it to go in. There could be something like that. So I wouldn't guarantee it will go in day one. It'll come in, I think, within the first 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
I don't know.
But I don't.
I think there's a chance it could go.
I
day and
think it
date.
could. There is a chance. You're right. But I wouldn't hold. I wouldn't get my hopes up for like the second they announce it. Bam! It's straight in. I'd probably, hedge my bets at it being within a few months of it coming out on the, them getting acquired. Be nice if they did, though.
Yeah.
I'd definitely play it day
Fingers
one
crossed.
if it came out. On day
crossed.
one. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Awesome stuff. To be honest, that does lead us nicely into the next topic. And again, we don't want to keep this for too long because, again, we say it all on Twitter and social media all the time, but we want to cover it off anyway.
Before you move on to the next topic, did you want to mention the fact that it's kind of leaked that there's going to be an Xbox for this coming out, like a console?
That's a good one. And this is a very, very cool thing. So it does seem, and of course, the marketing side of things, of course, we know Xbox have definitely got the marketing for Diablo, which I think is a huge get for them anyway, aside from the ABK deal. They've done some awesome kind of Xbox specific intros for the game with the load up screens and things like that, which is cool. But with them having the marketing, there has also been a leak, and thanks Jen for bringing this up. There has been a leak from a renowned leaker as well that has been true on quite a few things. That there is, and it doesn't mention that it's a bundle either, which usually it would if it was just an Xbox with Diablo. It mentions Diablo Series X, not a bundle edition, which is kind of just like the console with the game. So the leak is that, of course, there is going to be a custom limited edition or special edition Diablo for Xbox Series X launching with the price of I think it was $550 or $559 or something like that.
I think it was $559.99.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, I'd have to check the article again.
Yeah, $559.99. And of course, that will come with a copy of the game, but much like the Halo one did. And to be fair, the Halo one, I was expecting a higher price, and it turned out to be the same price as the regular Series X, and it came with the game. So if that's the case, and you're getting the Diablo 4 Series X. I'm going to ask Boxy this question because he's the biggest Diablo fan here. If this is true, Boxy, and there is a limited edition Diablo 4 Xbox Series X launching, or they also announce a limited edition Starfield Series X,
Ooh.
what one are you likely to get?
See, I want to say both. In reality, it's probably not gonna be one of them because I have a console. You know, I have the Series X, and it's I would love it, but I really don't need it, and there's other things to take care of at the moment. So yeah, probably not.
Probably
I'll go in on this one.
Yes.
I'll go in on this one. It's no contest. It's Starfield. I've got those reward points ready.
Nick's just waiting for the pre-order to go live.
Yeah, that's why you have 600,000 points.
Nearly 600,000.
He's
Yeah.
just sitting on them waiting. He's just waiting for that day. Oh, awesome. Right,
right.
okay. Is anybody else here and anybody in chat tempted if there is a Diablo console, a limited edition version of the Xbox Series X for Diablo coming out? If this leak turns out to be true, will the chat be picking it up? Or will they pick it up? Or, the same question I posed to Boxy, if there was a Starfield version also announced coming for the launch of Starfield, would you save your bets and save your money and get the Starfield version of the Series X? Let us know in the chat. That'll be awesome to hear that. For me, personally, as much I love Diablo, but Starfield, as what the game means to Bethesda, and being their first major IP in 2 decades, and first brand new IP in 2 decades from Bethesda Game Studios, specifically them directly, and not kind of id or anything like that, and all of these sub studios. I would be getting if there was a choice out of the two, it would be the Starfield one all day.
So I'm going to take that a little bit further. I think the Starfield one will have a Series S version as well as a Series X version.
I hope so. I
Maybe.
hope so. And in that
Yeah,
case,
that's a good one, yeah.
In that case,
We
I
haven't
don't know
seen
what I'd do.
a custom Series S yet.
You could do a
Right.
really nice Series S as well, you know, because there's a lot of that kind of what they call it like futuristic retro sort of look. It's that realistic sort of NASA style stuff, isn't it? You know, and you've seen in some of the trailers, there's some nice sort of like containers and all sorts of stuff that are on the shelves and stuff. It looks just about the right size and shape as a Series
I'd
S.
imagine one of the 2 consoles will be based on the robot that's like one of your companions. I think he's called
Yeah.
Jasko or something. So I'd imagine maybe based on that. But yeah, I expect there to be a Series X and a Series S version of a Starfield console.
I'd
And
certainly
they'll both probably be different
Yeah,
to
I was
tempt
gonna say,
people
I'd
to try and
certainly
get
like
both of them.
to start getting the Series S involved in limited edition versions. And I wish for one generation, at least one generation, if Xbox could stop making awesome looking limited edition consoles that are only for giveaways to one person in the world. Please stop that. If you're gonna make
did
a
you see that
limited edition
Mandalorian
console,
one?
just make it for sale. Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
Mandalorian
agree.
one. That Mandalorian one.
Pisses me off.
The
I want it.
Mandalorian one that
I
had
want it.
the Roku Series S version in that tealy color. I just saw that and I thought, I hate you lot.
They do it all the time. If you're gonna make these limited edition consoles, just make them for general sale. Why not? You've obviously got the partnership to create these things in the first place, so just do it. Or just. But never mind.
Even if they do them as a limited run and make them a little bit more expensive,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that will pick them up
Just
because
say,
they're collectors.
even if you say limited to 10,000 units per country or something like that, so it's super limited, but at least somebody gets a chance to order one if they really want one and have the spare cash.
Yeah.
Then do it. Just at least make them available, for crying out loud. But yeah.
Yeah.
Pat, if for instance there is a limited edition Series XS of either of these games available, or any of them enticing for you?
No,
Nope. He's like, no, I've already got one. I'm
no,
good."
no. You know, like I have a Series 6, I can play on it, and of course it's cool. You know how it looks and stuff, but no, I'm not gonna spend my money if I already have a console.
Yes,
So
that's fair enough. Fair enough. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And welcome, of course, to Ham in chat as well. Hello, sir. And welcome everybody in chat, to be fair. There's a lot of you here today, so thank you very much for the show. And of course, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Everybody in chat as well, hit that like button. And if you're new here, please, I hope you're enjoying the show anyway. Please subscribe if you're not already. But yeah, it did. Following on from that anyway, with our brief talk on CMA and the Japanese authority as well. Both of those have had positive changes to their decisions over the course of the week. So the CMA earlier this week came out and essentially said, following further evidence provided both by Microsoft and all of the documentation we went through, we no longer view the console side of the market as severely impacting competition or potential to severely impact competition, citing that there is zero incentive for Microsoft to make Call of Duty exclusive. It does not financially help them. If anything, it financially impairs them. So there is no incentive for them to do such thing. So they've dropped that entirely. So the console side of the transaction is no longer a concern, which is the largest concern essentially that they had outside of cloud. They're still evaluating cloud and discussing remedies for cloud as it stands, but they of course haven't kind of discussed or mentioned the remedies. In fact, the remedies that were proposed in terms of 10-year contracts, etc., for Call of Duty had no part to play in the decision-making process for the CMA in changing their decision. That was primarily down to the financial differences that were there. So essentially, the CMA had miscalculated and said the losses that they were basing it on was from a year, but the gains that they were basing Microsoft would have was over 5 years. Microsoft said, of course, that's an incorrect calculation. You can only compare 1 versus 1 year or 5 year versus 5 year. Following that correction, of course, they retracted that and said, yeah, we understand it's no longer a concern. Consoles are no longer a problem for us. And cloud is now the only thing being evaluated. As long as the remedies that were proposed are satisfactory, then the deal will be approved.
And let's put it this way: that they're already doing all those remedies right now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much done and dusted with the CMA.
Cloud's a bit of a different one. So on the cloud front, it's where you have with Call of Duty and things like that, you have a product that's on the market where statistically you can measure it. You can measure exactly what is happening with that game historically and going forward. You can kind of see the trends. So you can see what is happening with it to be able to give accurate representations of what the market's going to do and what players will do. So they could give kind of an accurate, based on accurate facts and accurate numbers, they can give like a realistic thought. With cloud, it's still a very infant and growing market. Not all of the cloud players are fully versed on cloud at the moment. Not all of the platforms have fully got all of their cloud streaming things up to speed. All of it's still very much in its infancy, so it's very speculative. So when it comes to cloud anyway, it's more of, do we think cloud is going to impair, or what Microsoft's doing with cloud is going to impair the competition's ability to also compete with cloud? That is, it's a harder thing to measure, and which is why kind of what it will be more kind of behavioral remedies with that as well, just to say, listen, if you're going to do X, Y, and Z, it can't be seen as kind of a practice that will harm competition when you do it. So you can't say...
We've already seen Microsoft make those moves with their deals with NVIDIA to bring not just Call of Duty, all Xbox games into that service. If you
Yeah.
buy the game on Steam, you can play that game through Nvidia now.
Exactly.
And the same is being said with the other cloud streaming services that they're partnered with for 10 years plus.
Yeah, I think
And
part of
that'll probably continue to happen when new people enter the market with different cloud streaming services. So,
yeah, I think part of the cloud discussion as well, and of course I'll get your thoughts, all your thoughts on this as well. But part of the cloud discussion will be obviously to do with Azure and ensuring that Microsoft don't kind of use the leverage of Azure or against their competitors versus what they could potentially do. So, of course, the two biggest cloud streaming capabilities or cloud services in the world are AWS, which is Amazon, and Azure, which is Microsoft. Now, of course, what they'll be wanting to make sure is that Azure is not used to unfairly leverage their position in the market on the gaming front on this thing and give them an unfair advantage over their competition. So it could be that they say, okay, well, you've got to make Azure servers available to competitors if they should wish to use Azure. We don't know, of course, they've offered the ability for cloud services to use the games, etc., on other platforms, but it could be a little bit more intricate than that in terms of the actual technology behind it as well, that they might seek remedies for. To be honest, I think Microsoft wouldn't care because that's more business for them, because they would have others using cloud and their Azure platform, which means it would be more contracts to sign. But it could just be a case of obviously making sure that doesn't unfairly leverage them against competition. But other than that, that was the...
I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
I think Microsoft is really not like concerned of other cloud providers per se. What they try to do at the moment definitely is to grow the actual market, to actually make cloud a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's their main target, and they are not like, oh, we need to protect this or that market. So, yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Aside from that, a much smaller update that didn't need months and months of debate. The Japanese Trade Commission has approved the transaction, citing there is no chance of any anti-competitive practices with this transaction. They were happy with it and have approved it. So that's another one off the box. So Japan Trade Commission has approved it.
it was a little ironic that though, because it was just like the day before where I think it was like 11 people from Congress were basically asking Biden to investigate the whole thing in Japan with Sony. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Statement about owning 98%.
Pretty funny. It could be a coincidence, but yeah, it's pretty ironic how the very next day the Japanese Fair Trade Commission were like, "Yeah, we're letting it through."
Yeah, it's proved. Quick shout out to Dave Ramos with a $5 super chat there. He says Microsoft needs a Coke to its xCloud Pepsi. Market still needs to grow. Yeah, it's a good. I know what you're referencing there, Dave, as well. That's you sly dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that weird analogy from that person on social media. Of course, I won't name names, but that other content creator out there making that weird Pepsi analogy it failed to mention, of course, that both Coke and Pepsi have alternate partners. So where Coke has McDonald's, Pepsi has Burger King. This is what you have when you have partners. There is always something for somebody else. What you do when you don't have a product is you find a partner to have that product with it, and it's simple as that. You just have other partners.
Yeah.
Pepsi's better though.
Yeah, mate, we're going to disagree here. We're going to have a falling out. Coke's better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't agree.
Going back to the Japanese
Soda war begins.
Yeah. Before we get too in depth in Soda Wars, But the I'd love to have been a fly on the wall inside the Sony headquarters when the Japanese FTC announced
it with
that
no
they
issue.
didn't see any problems.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that would have been a great conversation to overhear what they were saying that day.
Yep.
Their own people just backing it, just like.
I think
ooh.
it speaks more volumes on the strangeness that is the FTC. And to be fair, the FTC is the. If people had saw what the FTC are trying to get pushed through Congress, is absolutely obscene. So the FTC want the ability to retroactively block deals
Sorry,
that have already been approved.
JFTC? Is this the JFTC or the American the FTC?
The American one, yeah.
The FTC, right?
So the American
The
FTC,
Japanese one is the JFTC, which I thought
JFTC, yeah,
was
Japanese Financial Trade yeah. But yeah, the FTC want the ability to, and this is to do with everything, not just the Microsoft transaction, but this is what they're posturing about and why they're being idiots about it. Not that it'll stand up in federal court, which is why they haven't took it to federal and have took it just to internal. But they want the ability to retroactively go back and block deals that have already been approved. They want the ability to block deals without doing any research into the transaction, and without government authority. So they don't want any involvement from the government. They want to be able to block deals without doing the necessary research, which is obscene. There is a number of weird things that the FTC are trying to get pushed through Congress that will never happen. And it's just obscene. So it's to me, it's really weird to see the JFTC coming out having absolutely, and this is what makes it even, I think, worse for them, because it's an American company that's trying to do business with another American company, and every other trade authority is going, there's absolutely, like, we've some of them have had minor concerns. The Brazilians had zero concerns. Japan's had zero concerns. A number of others have had zero concerns and have passed it through immediately. The CMA have dropped their console concerns and are relatively happy on the cloud aspect of it and expecting to pass it. It's not CMA, sorry, the EU. The CMA have dropped the cloud the console concerns and are just focusing on cloud now. And the FTC are still intent on taking this to internal courts and potentially federal courts, even though they have no basis to do so, and are very much kind of in the mindset there. And I don't know whether or not this is just Lena Khan posturing, but there's been about 12 senior politicians that work and senior advisors that work for the FTC in America that have resigned specifically because of Lena Khan. So I think her tenure there is in limited numbers, and she'll be removed from office, or removed from position shortly.
They're losing too much money under her leadership, and they have to keep going back to get more. I don't think the president's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, it's
it's only going to last so long, and then she will decide
be forced
that
out.
she's
She'll not
gonna
be
move on.
Yeah.
No, they won't be forced out. There'll be none of that. It'll be, she will have decided to spend some time with her family, or to do some, it'll be one of those announcements where, one of those.
Sorry about her dog's farted or something, and she needs to go and look after her dog. Or
it's a family emergency, and she'll be stepping down. While she deals with private, personal matters.
I've unfortunately stubbed my toe, and now I've got an ingrown toenail, and I have to take time away from from the FTC.
But yeah, and overall though, and we know already because Microsoft have already advised, as long as the other major markets outside of the FTC have approved this deal by the original close date that they agreed with Activision Blizzard, then they will go ahead and close it. And they'll just deal with the FTC in court because they are that confident that it wouldn't get it wouldn't get anywhere at federal, and I don't blame them, to be honest, at this point.
Paul AFC in the chat actually makes a good point. She is actually due for maternity leave soon.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That was something that was said a while back when they started, because they said that she won't get to see this deal through because she's due for maternity leave before the end of it. So yeah,
Good. It won't get that far anyway. But either way, then we already know that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have already said, regardless of what the FTC do, they're closing the deal as long as the CMA and the EU and other kind of major markets have given it the go ahead. So we expect those to wrap up. I think the time frame for those is late April, May. For final decisions from the EU and the CMA. So that is essentially, we should be within the time frame that Microsoft originally allotted, and by June. So we should see that June time frame kind of being kind of figured out there. So all is looking good. We'll eventually get to the end of this, and we'll be able to just focus strictly on gaming. I didn't want to keep too long on it, but Boxy, have you got any other thoughts to mention on that, or any other kind of opinions?
Not really. I mean, I think we pretty much covered it. Man, I just want this deal to be over. Honestly, it's just week after week. But finally, it looks like it's gonna get approved. So that's the good thing. That's what we need to focus on. Yeah. It's going to be over soon, guys.
Yeah, thank God.
Stuff Sean says that China is dragging its heels, but I don't think anyone cares what happens in China anyway, because they don't sell much over there anyway.
Yeah.
Mobile gaming is the biggest thing over there.
There's so many restrictions that they don't get to sell much anyway. So even if they blocked it, it wouldn't make any difference.
And you're only allowed to play like games for a couple of hours over there before you're told to turn it off.
Yeah, gaming is restricted over there now, which is weird. Like in general. In general, there's a limit on it now, which is really odd.
No games for you.
Nope. But yes, moving on. Some other additional news here, and of course, a major event that is happening in only a couple of months' time may not be happening now. And of course, we're speaking on E3. The rise and fall of the mighty E3, of course, the event that we once loved. It was the Super Bowl of gaming. We'd all look forward to this time, this week-long kind of treasure trove of event after event after event, news after news after game, and it was just every day was something else. Every day was more news. Every day was more announcements. It was just fun. It was awesome. The happiness on people's faces across the board. It was phenomenal.
Yep. We'd all be staying up till silly o'clock in the morning watching all the events because PlayStation would have theirs at like 1 a.m. and
not even
same
just
with
that.
Ubisoft.
Like, if anybody remembers on the likes of YouTube, etc., they'd have their own YouTube gaming thing where they'd get personalities in from the community that would speak to developers afterwards, and then watch all the other late night shows that were on from smaller developers, and they would just go on for hours, and every day it was exactly the same. It was like a 24-hour news cycle specifically for new game announcements. It was literally kind of gamer heaven at that point, and unfortunately for E3, it's looking like they are never going to get back to that, and potentially never recover from the downfall. We've had
I can't say I didn't see this coming though.
Yeah. But the news this week, of course, that officially confirms. I think it Sega isn't going in Tencent.
And Ubisoft.
And Ubisoft.
Ubisoft have
Sega,
stepped
Ubisoft,
out, but they're doing their own thing.
Have all said, no, we'll do our own thing. And those were
I think it's like
Ubisoft and Tencent specifically. Only a week ago, said they were still going, and they've turned within the space of a week. Said no, we're no longer attending. We're going to be doing our own thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if they all looked at the landscape. They're seeing that most of the other big companies are not interested, and they've all thought maybe we'll just go and do our own thing. It'd be cheaper.
Yeah, it was. And that's the overarching problem here. I was speaking to the guys from Primetime in our general chat as well about this and kind of talking to them because, of course, me and Boxy are going to Gamescom this year. And I think Mick, if Mick can, of course, he'll be coming to Gamescom this year as well, depending on if he's with your house moving.
Trying to get my passport sorted.
Yeah. But when you have a look at the numbers side, the highest average attendance for E3, physical attendance, and of course the E3 was a trade show originally, and then it was open to the public. The highest attendance from the public was 63,000. 63,000.
Gee.
And they were charging millions for developers and publishers to be on the show floor, to show off their games, etc., to have a pitch. And millions to have a pitch. Gamescom, average attendance post-COVID, 263,000 in their first show back after COVID. First show back. Prior to COVID, it was close to 400,000 people attended Gamescom.
Wow.
So it is significantly larger, and this is why Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, Sega, and every other big hitter continues year on year to return to Gamescom. Not only is it cheaper for them to do so, but there is a substantial amount more footfall going through Gamescom and seeing their products that it actually warrants being at that event and not just doing it online. If you can go online and you've got millions of people at the drop of a hat watching your stuff, no problem. Doesn't cost you a penny because you can just create it and put it online.
Mm-hmm.
Or you spend millions and maybe 60,000 or half of that see your items at E3. Or you go to Gamescom, you've got almost 500,000 people seeing your items on a show floor and millions online, and it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious why Gamescom is continuing to be the most successful and largest game event in the world, and why E3 isn't.
Yeah, but it could be like, because like E3 is always centered like in America.
Yeah.
And because Gamescom is in Germany, it's for people easier to get there, especially from like there are so many countries near Germany.
Yeah.
So it's for people easier to go there, and that's why like there are a lot of people there. Then you have like people actually go to the US. A flight ticket is expensive. You need to get a hotel.
Well, that's a funny
So
thing as
maybe
well,
that's
actually, Pat. On mentioning that, it's like even for those in the US, getting to E3 is expensive.
Yeah.
It's actually as expensive, if not cheaper, for people in the US to get to Gamescom than it is for them to get to E3. That is how crazy E3 is. Because it's also based, and this is another thing about E3, is it's based in one of the most ridiculously high-priced areas anyway. It's based in LA.
Mm-hmm. And it's always hot as balls there.
Well, that's a good thing, but
Not for me, eh?
Yeah. I struggle with the heat. Yeah.
but
I'd just be like dying in the corner. Someone get me a bottle of water.
the cost thing, and Pat is right on that front. The cost thing is a problem. And the travel for Europeans and the travel for the rest of the world, it would cost me, if I was to go to E3, the best part of about £2,000 for a week to go to E3.
Yeah.
That's probably that's excluding
Yeah.
being able to eat. That's just getting there.
I'd rather spend that money on going back to Iceland.
Yeah. Whereas you can go to Gamescom, and this is including from international, you can get the Gamescom for less than 500 each. Like the cost of the hotel for 4 days or something like that was something like €700. Obviously that's between two people, so there's 350 each, and then the cost of a flight's about 110 or something like that. So you're talking 460 each in comparison to 2,000. And if you talk in the US, a return flight for them would cost them to get to directly into the center of Germany, or even if they took a flight to Amsterdam and got a train through, or Amsterdam Schiphol and got a train through, it would probably cost them about 1,000 return on a flight. And then the hotel would cost them 300. They would still be 700 better off than going to E3. That is how wild it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
so you can understand why developers are if developers are saying it's too expensive for us to attend this, it's like it doesn't warrant it for what we're getting in viewership. Then why we're gonna do that? And this is why we're also going to continue to attend the likes of Tokyo Game Show, the likes of Gamescom, and Jeff Keighley's show and the Game Awards. This is why we're going to continue to put our stuff there, because it warrants it. It has the viewership. It has the footfall. It makes sense. What's everyone's thoughts on this anyway? Mick, what's your thoughts on this? These other 2 dropouts for E3 and the state of it?
It's a real shame. I think it was stuff Sean a minute ago in the chat. I was just agreeing with him that the E3 was on my bucket list. It was one of those things that I used to love watching. I used to prefer it actually when it was just a media event, not when people could go, because it felt like there was a lot more interviews and like they'd have somebody like the content creators that could go. Back then, got a lot more interviews. There was always, even the main events weren't even the biggest thing. You used to get lots of smaller interviews from people just walking around the show floor with a microphone and a camera, just asking questions to people. They used to get all sorts of information that wasn't even announced in some of the big events. So it was worth watching the extra content as well as the main events.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. I always hoped that I could get to a point where preferably be one of those people that got to go to the press side of it and do all that rather than just be able to go. But obviously when they opened it up, it was like, well, at least now I know I could probably go. I could, if I could save up, I could go and see what it is. So it's all about. And then, it just slowly got less and less. And then COVID hit and just killed it. And it's a shame that I probably, I don't think we'll ever get that again now. I don't, even if it comes back in some shape or form in the future, even if they give it 5 years and just don't do anything and then just announce it's coming back and they go all at it and they've maybe found a way to make it cheaper for everyone to come and they get loads of people to come. I still don't think it'll ever be the same.
No.
So Gamescom is really the only other alternative, and that isn't a bad thing, Yeah. But you don't get many of those big announcements at Gamescom. Like E3 was where the announcements came.
Yeah.
And then Gamescom was always the follow-up where everything you saw at E3 comes to Gamescom in some sort of, here it is, there's a controller, that you got 20 minutes, go for it, That was kind of the follow-up of what you found out at E3. So
I mean, that's of course, because historically you already said it started as a trade show.
Yeah.
So
and that was when it was good. That was the Super Bowl. That was the gaming Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And then things started to change. And the trade show thing is, of course, the reason why we didn't get much announcements at Gamescom, because, of course, the traders and everyone, they learned what they will sell in the fall season. So at Gamescom, you were able to play the games that have been announced at E3. That's how it has historically been. So now this has all changed, and that's the problem of E3. E3, they just didn't find the way to modernize themselves. We don't need the 4, 5, 6 months lead cycle for in between game announcements and the game comes actually out. We don't need that in this day and age. What we do need, though, is like inclusion of community events and everything. And they just failed to do that in a meaningful way. And I think that's the main reason why they basically failed, and I think we all agree. That's what it comes down to. They E3 just was not able to survive in this day and age, where you have social media, where people don't need the super expensive press events. Every publisher can do their own events and generate as much as excitement as they could at E3. So why would you spend all that money to get a booth there and to
and on top of that as well, Boxy, it's companies like Microsoft who have their own theater in LA, the Microsoft Theater, where they can physically host their own event. Not only host their own event, but that is also the home to the Keeleys, the Game of the Year Awards show, and many other events there. It's a case of, why would we pay to do that when we could literally offer our halls, and other venues around LA can offer their halls at a cheaper price, and these publishers can host their own events cheaper and provide a fan thing whilst doing the online thing and save money. They can do that, but they can do it in their own time. That's one of the major things about E3 is that there's no purpose for the show floor anymore. And now we know,
exactly.
Unlike previously, as you mentioned years ago, it was a trade event where all the people from the industry would go there and find out what these companies were working on, and that would help boost the share price. Trade markets are entirely different these days. Shareholders know months in advance. They know years in advance what's happening with games and game releases. This is all stuff they get told years. They're like, oh yeah, we're well on track to release X, Y, and Z game, and this game's coming out, and this game's getting produced, and this one's getting. They're like, okay, brill. That's why I'm invested. There is no trade requirement for E3 anymore, and that is a problem. There is no trade requirement for it.
Exactly. So it's a shame. Like you said, E3 always has been exciting for gamers. It's the Super Bowl of gaming. It's like what everyone wants to see has been shown at E3. But they just failed to stay relevant in this age of, social media.
Here's an idea. Here's a thought. Or a question for you. If the E3 ends, that's it. We're not doing another one next year or indefinitely. Do Xbox still do their event in theater and get fans in? And
they will. It'll be just revolving around Summer Game Fest, which is basically what's going to replace E3 anyway.
Yeah, that allows everyone.
Are they doing this year? I think
yes.
I mean, is it? Yeah, is it live? Or is it just a playback in theaters?
I'm not sure how they're doing it, but there is going to be something at the theater. But I don't know how they're doing it, whether or not it's just a pre-recorded show that they play to the people going to attend the theater, and they have an Xbox event with them guys and give them some free goodies, etc., as they usually do. Like even more recently for every event, they've got a fan fest event that goes along with it. You might not hear about it, but it does happen. But yeah, it is happening. BlizzCon is still happening as well, by the way. Details of BlizzCon will be announced in the coming months, so we know that's happening. QuakeCon will also be happening still. But I agree. The thing that the Keeleys does is, and his Summer Game Fest show, is it allows all of these shows to do what they want and incorporate them under just a digital banner. Which
big umbrella.
It saves everybody money. It means everybody can do as they please, but it gets greater eyes on all the content. So as much as people want to, and again, creators, this is one of the main reasons people love to go to E3 before its major decline, was to go and meet up with other like-minded gamers and content creators and everything at E3.
Yeah.
People you've worked with online for years. You're really hyped to meet them and things like that. And unfortunately, it's a case of now the only major event left in the US is PAX East. Like outside of like digital events and the Jeff Keighley award shows, etc., like the biggest actual trade kind of event is PAX, which, as it stands now, would be the only one I'd consider going over there for, and it'd be much cheaper than going to E3, and the only way to meet the US kind of contingent content creators now. Although I know Asante's mentioned he's going to potentially look at coming over to Gamescom instead of E3. So
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, and I think
I honestly think E3 is going to be cancelled this year. They've got no one now. I think Ubisoft was the last ones, and then they dropped out.
yeah,
So it's gone from Gamers Super Bowl to empty cereal bowl.
Nothing. Yeah.
yeah. It is. It is.
What was the
just
line?
bury it now.
What was the line that they used? Ubisoft called it something like a momentous moment in their. I'm trying to find that thingy now. I remember them saying this. They used the word something right when they announced that they were coming to the E3, that it was going to be a momentous moment in their history, and now they've cancelled it. So wasn't going to be that.
They've not cancelled their event. They're still doing their own event. It's just going to be a part of E3.
Yeah. There you go. Ubisoft is now skipping E3 despite previously calling it a special moment for our industry.
I mean, when Ubisoft are already like complaining about how much money they're losing, it makes sense that they would drop out.
Yeah.
And it's a damn
You
shame.
know,
As I mentioned, like,
Yeeves or whatever his name is, has looked at the budget and he's gone, we can't afford E3 this year. Bail out.
and even going back though, and like obviously we've done many live reactions to E3s and things over the years, and even going back and watching them, we've had some fun even in the more recent E3s, like before the pandemic and in the pandemic. It was we've had some really good times watching these events, some awesome announcements and things like that. But like, it is a damn shame because I remember all the good times staying up and just talking games and looking at all the releases and then jumping online and talking to everybody. So it's not nice seeing it disappear entirely because I miss those moments, and it is, as much as we still get the game announcements now, it isn't quite the same because everything's dotted so far apart. Like, we don't have just a solid week of all of the guys coming together and it's saying, right, okay, well, Microsoft's on Sunday, then we've got Sony on Monday, and we've got Nintendo on Tuesday, and after each of those, you've got either EA or Ubisoft or something like that. And this was all week non-stop. It was just conference for a solid week. And then you'd have like the next week, the tail end, you'd have like the PC Gamer Show, and they'd speak like about all the PC games that were coming out and things like that. And that was kind of the tail end of the week. It's a damn shame that we haven't got like one. And this is the one thing I'd love to see Jeff do, if he can manage to convince all of these major companies to do their shows over the course of a week, to organize their shows for a set week of the year, even if it's digitally, it'll bring back some of that feeling that we used to have with the Super Bowl week that E3 used to do. That's all it requires in order to bring back that feeling. The problem is what we've got now, we've had for a number of years now, and we've mentioned this, the first kind of real pandemic year, we all hated because they had Summer Game Fest, and then 2 weeks later we had Summer Game Fest. And then 2 weeks later, we had another fest. And then 2 weeks later, we had... It was like, what? But it was like one little thing at a time.
Don't forget them Ubisoft events that were like one in like February, then there was another one in like June, and then another one in September.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be like a 3-part thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And Microsoft did a 2 thing, and Sony did like 2 shows, and it was like, what is... Like, they're all over the place. Like, can we just tight-knit it? Just get all of them to do their live or digital shows in a week. Bring back that feeling of like just conference after conference after conference after conference. Organize it so it's like that in a digital format. And I think it will do well. I think that's all Jeff has to do really, is bring back that feeling of this is our week. This is our Super Bowl week. This is 1 week of the year where
Yeah.
all of the gaming news, digitally or otherwise, is announced.
The problem is that these companies don't want to share their time. They want the maximum amount of press for their product.
But it
and they
brings
don't
back
want to
the thing is,
squeeze
though,
in
Mick,
between, do they?
I was going to say the thing is it's the one thing we loved about it is that it was competition. We saw Xbox, and like if Xbox went first, it was like, oh, so what are Sony going to do? So what's Sony got to show?
We'd
to
always had that
combat this?
debate afterwards on who won E3.
Yeah. And now you don't get that because it's like...
Yeah.
You don't get it because you can't remember the first one because it was that long before
Yeah.
the second one.
Or Sony would go first and you'd be like, that God of War 2018 like unveiling was unbelievable with the live orchestra and the
Yeah.
gameplay and and then Microsoft would be up next day and you'd be like,
And the
"How are we
flute
gonna-"
guy.
Yeah.
Flute guy.
If remember Flute Guy, those moments, this is E3, man.
Yeah.
That's E3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
It was a spectacle for gamers.
yeah. And that's what we miss. That's what we miss. And that's what
There's ways they could save it. I think what's the name of the company behind E3?
now they're working
I always
guys
forget their
behind
name.
PAX.
PAX now.
Yeah. PAX are dealing with it now.
Yeah.
I think an entire rebrand needs to happen.
Yeah. I think E3 is a
For
brand
E3.
is no longer.
Entire rebrand, or maybe the folks behind the ones that are working on E3 at the moment approach Jeff Keighley, because Jeff knows how to put on a show with all these people. As much as some people don't go much on Jeff, you can't deny he doesn't know how to put on a show.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of him. That's no secret, but we all have to admit that he is one of a kind in the industry, and he is a core figure of the industry.
And at least
So-
he's trying to bring about change. That's one thing you have to applaud him for.
But this is the
Yeah.
man that got the three heads up on stage at one of the Game of the Year awards. Phil Spencer, I
Reggie,
can't remember his name, the guy at Sony at the time, and Reggie.
Suzume and
Yeah.
Sean Lane.
Yeah.
Shortly before
If
two
any-
of them. Shortly before
If
two of them.
anyone out there, if there's anyone out there that can bring all these games developers together, it's Jeff. Now, if he or the people behind E3 can come together and combine Summer Games Fest and E3 into one thing, then we've got our big week in gaming still.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening, at least not for a time.
Yeah, it's going to take a number of years to get it right. And we've said this for a while with, and this is, and you know where it is, Jeff knows this as well, which is why he always asks for feedback. Whether or not he takes a lot of it on board or doesn't, one thing we have to applaud him for is every year it does get a little bit better. And eventually it's going to be at the point where it is what we want. And we've said this for years about the idea that Xbox's indie showcases that were like 55 hours long and bored the living tears out of people. And this is what prompted us to create the Community Indie Showcase, because it was too long, too much fluff, too much talking, not enough actual games, which is why we started the showcase in the first place. When you lose track of what you're actually meant to do and you start focusing on other things, which is voice, like the content creators instead of the developers and the games that they're showing, it becomes an issue. So thankfully, the likes of ID at Xbox are starting to refine their indie kind of showcases a little bit more and making them a little bit smaller, refining them. Jeff's doing the same for the big developers and trying to create a showcase or showcase period that allows big studios to kind of do some awesome things in a certain period of time. And of course, the Game Awards show. And then, of course, we're left at the moment with the only surviving and still world's largest Gamescom that takes over the mantle of biggest football and physical event.
I mean, you're missing
because
out,
it always has been a fan event, you know?
You're missing out the important one.
Say
The biggest one of all. No. I'm not about the midweek mix-up community indie fest.
Yes, Community Indie Showcase. Yeah. One day that'll be a physical in-person event. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
Loads of indie studios around, big live announcements. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll start off with a small community centre, and we'll we'll work up from there. Oh dear.
It'll just be some pub somewhere in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Start with. We'll all just meet up, have a pint.
See, I think the best bet for E3 would be to not set it to one physical location. Change your location from year to year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
one
have
of
it
the
moving
things.
around.
One of the things that Microsoft did well with the XO event. So the Xbox physical in-person small event that they did and hopefully will bring back, because that's one thing we're missing, was the XO event literally did change countries every year. So the last one we went to was pre-pandemic.
It's what Twitch do with their TwitchCon events as well. They have one in a different place in Europe every year and one in a different place in America every year, and they're both at 2 points in time in the year.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Doesn't always have to be in sunny California. There's a lot of people out there like me that don't want to walk around sweating their bollocks
And
off.
there's so many
Why
conference
do you mean
centers.
sunny California when you could have nice rainy Blackpool?
Well, I was going to say, like, even and Pat knows this. Pat knows this specifically. If you go to the Netherlands, one of the largest conference centers there is the one in Utrecht in Jaarbouwers. The Jaarbouwers is absolutely ginormous. It's like a friggin' airport. It's massive.
It is.
It's such a huge event, and you could easily host a trade show, like massive trade show in there, and there would be space for everybody. And if a trans festival can do a 2-day show in there, a trans festival of all things, I'm sure the world's largest companies can definitely afford to take up floor space and that for a weekend. So, there's things like that worldwide, huge trade centers and conference centers that people can use that don't have to be in LA. And I think Jen's got a really good point there. If they're going to do something like E3, you're going to have to make it so it changes its location every
They could
year.
say it in bloody Nevada for 1 year, in Vegas.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all the time in California or LA.
Could be in
Hasn't it
Germany,
been
could
Doesn't
be in
need to
the
be.
Netherlands.
Hasn't it been in somewhere like Vegas?
There's a lot of people that don't like going to LA because they don't like the entire like area. Like, you know, it's not the greatest place on earth.
Yeah.
Wasn't it in Vegas or somewhere else?
There used to
It
be
moved
something there.
for a
I'm
while.
sure there used to be something
Yeah.
there.
There was
And,
a period when E3 moved to a different location for a while, and then it moved back to LA.
And even Back from the Dead in
Okay.
chat says, I'm still holding my breath for any major event in Chicago or Illinois. I'd even settle for one in 5-hour drive of me instead of every one of them is either west, south, or east coast. So, yeah, even in the US, there's still massive differences on how people can get there. And again, we've got to understand, of course, the US is humongous. It's like in terms of flight times, if like the top end of America trying to fly to the bottom end is like doing a lap of the world. Essentially, it's a friggin' 14-hour flight. It's massive. So even for some of them, it's inaccessible. Like they have to look at other routes. That's the only way I think E3 can do it. And Jen's got a very good point, and I think that's something they should look at, but unfortunately won't. Is hosting it in different
They
countries.
won't. It would be nice if they did it in different countries and switched it up from year to year because it would keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And then
Almost
they could test the waters on which location works the best, which brings in more people, and then set that, once they've figured that out, set that as the place where it's always at. LA isn't it. No one wants to go to LA. Well, 63,000 people want to go to LA.
See, the trouble if they do that though is then it's wherever they set it then becomes the new LA.
Yeah.
I think it's still better just keep moving it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the best idea is just to keep moving it around from year to year. Keep it fresh because then that also opens the window for people to see the sites in that area.
Yeah.
They ain't always going to LA and they know LA like the back of their hand.
Yeah. Agreed.
One thing we do know though, is of course that who was it actually announced their show for the 12th? It was one of them announced the show for the 12th.
It was Ubisoft.
Was it Ubisoft?
It was Ubisoft.
Yes. So we know now we have the Xbox showcase on the 11th, followed straight after that on the 11th with the Starfield showcase. And then on the 12th, we have the Ubisoft showcase. So we've already got 3 showcases essentially confirmed for the 11th and 12th. So hopefully we'll start to hear about more of the dates of the ones that are available.
It's sounding like Sony have got an event around that sort of time as well. It could even be a little bit earlier than June.
Yep. Eventually, thank God. So I'm looking forward to getting back into this and seeing all these events because, of course, we've missed it, and I love it. And I've loved doing these smaller events
So
earlier on
I'm
this year.
most curious to see Sony's event.
Yes.
Because it's been too long since they had a big show.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more curious to see theirs than Microsoft. So I kind of half know what to expect with Microsoft this year, to be honest. And updates on games have already got in development. Maybe there's a couple of new announcements, but overall, I kind of...
Hopefully Sony's show isn't 90 minutes of Jim Ryan crying about Call of Duty, though. So I'd be disappointed if it is.
No, it's just 90 minutes of Sean Layden poking him with a stick, laughing.
Yeah.
It's 90-minute memorial for Jim Ryan crying about Call of Duty. And him holding a PlayStation controller in a very weird angle. Like, dude doesn't even look like he knows how to play games.
That man's never touched a console, apart from when he handed it over to someone and taking their money.
But yes, it is a shame to see what's happening with E3, but it doesn't stop my excitement from all the events that we've got coming up. And I'm looking forward to seeing the official dates for all the other studios, EA, Activision, Blizzard, and everybody else that's doing their events. And obviously see what else Bethesda's working on, because of course we know what they're releasing this year. So, but by then Redfall's already out and about, so we won't see Redfall anymore. Hallelujah! So that's off the table. We'll still see Starfield, but of course we know Starfield has its own show, so that will not be at the main event. So,
we'll see a little trailer for Starfield, I think, and then they'll have a splash page that says, "Stay tuned for
the show."
It's the same day, right?
Same day, yeah, straight after it.
Yeah, they have the.
It'll be like that then. Small trailer saying, "Stay tuned for after the show when the Starfield event is," and then that'll be it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's unfortunate to hear E3 kind of still fail to get it to pull the publishers in, the big guys. And unfortunate for those who have already forked out and are now going to have to try and get refunds to not go, who are choosing to pull out of it as well on a personal basis. I know a lot of people were intending to go. I know Gaz was intending to go and meet Colt and things like that from XNC, and now he's thinking about going to Gamescom instead and meeting me, Boxy, and Asante because it's closer and it's cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, you'll still meet loads of people, and again, it would be the same for the likes of the Ironlord, etc. You've got to think of all these smaller creators. It's a lot of money to fork out to get all of their teams out to do these things. So they have to make wise decisions to do it. And of course, this is things that are coming out of people like content creators, money that's being paid for by listeners. Essentially, is what's funding a lot of this stuff. Of course, a lot of their own money goes into it, but it's essentially the fans of these shows and the supporters of these shows that are supporting kind of going to these events. So of course they're going to spend that money wisely. And going to a dying event that has no publishers there is not going to do them justice. So you have to make those decisions. But on that note, we have two smaller topics to round out the show. We've had two bits of messes this week. I'll start off with the smaller one. The Last of Us Part 1 remake released on PC this week. Not great is a understatement.
I've seen some very funny pictures on Twitter today. Very funny.
Very poor performance. It seems to have major leakage when it comes to the CPU. The frame rates are all over the shop. We've saw dips. So essentially, if a game is meant to be running at 120 frames, if your machine's capable of running that game at 120 frames, you're going to see constant dips into the 40s, which is a significant drop from the frame rate that the game is actually capable of running at. But we've also seen a lot of texture popping issues, a lot of crashes reported there. And these aren't just like people trolling either. Like some of the comments are like, "This is my favorite game. Like I bought it on PC as well as having already played it on console many times, and I bought it on PC expecting to get the kind of best version of it. And it's unfortunately And it's not even like they're saying it's horrific, don't buy it. They're saying right now we cannot recommend picking this up because it's not in a great state. Don't get it yet.
Wow.
The performance on it is severely below par. It's a shame. It's a shame. It could very well have been the game that really kicked off after the show, which is why they kind of released it in this time frame. Is it followed on directly after the show?
Yep.
Give them a big boost. But unfortunately, and it's not just one. It's many people reporting its poor performance, like severely poor performance. From a technical.
I'll go in on this one just briefly because I'm not played this and I'm not planning on playing it until it's been out for a while. But it does make me wonder. Sony bought at least two dev companies that specialize in porting games to PC.
Yep.
Nixus was one of them, right?
What are they doing exactly?
Yep.
If they specialize in porting games to PC, why are they not porting games to PC very well?
Yep.
Surely that's what they bought them for, their expertise in this area.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a company recently suggesting, I'm not saying which company that was, I'll let you guys guess. There was a company suggesting that they could intentionally make games run on a certain platform worse.
He's
You know,
Boxy's getting
you
saucy.
say-
Boxy's getting saucy.
You say this, though,
Would that be the company that
just
published this
saying.
game?
yeah, people forget though that even Spider-Man and quite a few, and Days Gone and everything on when it came out on PlayStation, they didn't run well.
No.
We all saw the flying trash can swinging across New York City. All those memes that came out when Spider-Man first came out, and Days Gone with the bike that drove through the ground, and all the rest of it. This isn't uncommon for Sony. People think they bring out these perfect games day one. They don't. They
Nope.
just have a very good job of forgetting about those problems. So
Oh yeah.
it does happen quite frequently, unfortunately. People just don't like to remember those bits. So I don't think it's.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
it's a deliberate thing on PC side. I just don't think that.
Oh, it's
I
to
don't
do
think
with
so either. I'm
optimizing
just
it for
kidding,
PC.
of course.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying. It is funny to see how things sometimes turn out, and Sony, was it today or yesterday, the other day, announced that Naughty Dog's gonna be developing games from now on out only for console and PC.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
That tells me day and
It was-
date is very, very
It was
close.
Naughty Dog, actually. It was Naughty Dog themselves that said it.
Mm.
That said
They
it, yeah, right.
We started off creating games for PC, and we're returning to
Yeah.
our roots by creating games for console and PC going forward from day one.
Yeah. So now they have that PC release. They complain about what Xbox could do or not do and everything. And at the end, let's face it and be real. Sony is just also a developer. They're a good one. They have some fantastic studios, no doubt about that. But at the end, they are a developer. They are facing the same issues like every other publisher, and that's all there is, you know.
Yeah, exactly. The other one, which is the other bit of news, which is even more terrible, to be honest, it's shocking behavior, was Multiversus. So Multiversus, for anybody who didn't know, is a Smash Bros. Like brawler set with the Warner Brothers IPs, such as Batman and Harley Quinn and Looney Tunes and things like that. And that was in an open kind of beta for a long period of time and will still be there until June. However, one of the only betas that allowed microtransactions and allowing to purchase founders packs and everything whilst it was in beta, which is okay if it was in preview, like a lot of preview games do on Xbox. But they remain. The difference is these preview games remain on sale indefinitely until its full release, and then it gets updated, and everyone gets the full version. Multiversus, however, came out with a statement earlier this week to say, as of June, we will be pulling all of them from stores, and we'll be closing it off entirely outside of being able to go into the training on the game. You cannot play this online or with friends or anything like that until we release the game at some point in 2024. Really shocking behavior, first of all, from a developer to launch a game in beta and put microtransactions and make a bucket load of money from that game, £100 Founders Editions, believe it or not, which included character packs, etc., and then pull that entirely from stores, not give anybody access to play the game anymore, only allow you to go into training, and you don't know at what point next year you're going to be able to play the game again, or if at all.
Could even be delayed.
Yeah, could get delayed, could not come out. Shocking behavior. What did we actually make of this news? This absolutely has to be called out on what it is, and it's just it's abysmal.
I did actually respond to this. I quote tweeted their tweet on this. It really pissed me off. I haven't bought into the game, but it pissed me off for them to do this to people. They treated it like it's a game preview, as if it was going to be out constantly until the full game comes out. And then to pull this right from under people's feet. These are people that have spent hundreds of dollars on the game, not just in founder packs, in skins as well as battle passes are in the game. Not a good look. This is a bad look. You charge for characters, founder packs, and then go ahead and take that away from people for a lengthy period of time. Better be giving those that don't want to wait a year to be able to play what they paid for. It's ridiculous. I've never seen a company ever pull this move before.
Yeah,
with a fully functional working in-game store in it. And I'm someone that played quite a lengthy amount of this game, didn't buy a skin whatsoever because I knew better of myself. Fortnite taught me that lesson.
But Fortnite's an open game that continues to allow you to use those skins forever.
Yeah. Who does that? It releases a game in beta. I mean, it's been out in beta for almost a year.
With a fully functional store?
With a fully functional store where you can go and buy in-game currency with real money. I don't get this move. It's so weird. I feel like what's happened is the player levels have dropped. They haven't added a new character to the game for a while, and they're worried right now because they're not making enough money. So they're taking the game offline to bolster content for when they do relaunch it or officially launch it. And I think by then people are going to have a lot to say.
But the thing is, though, is if you're going to release a game in beta, like Diablo did this weekend, with a boatload of content, last 2 weekends, an absolute boatload of content to try out, you get people hyped for the game, you don't sell them anything on that apart from a little pop-up on screen that says, do you want to pre-order it? And then you can pre-order the game for when it officially comes out. There is no microtransactions. There's nothing you can buy. There's nothing to buy. You just go on, you play the game. If you like it, you can pre-order it. If you don't, you don't. Simple as that. It's a beta.
See, what I don't get about this...
Nobody's spent any money unless they've pre-ordered the game. On Xbox, you don't spend any money anyway if you've pre-ordered it digitally because it doesn't take it until 10 days before release. So you don't spend anything physically until it's released anyway. But that's how beta should be. To say this has been
what I don't get about this is they've actually had betas for the game before the beta came out and was out for as long as it was out, and now it's going away in June. They had 2 betas come out for this game, closed and open.
And
then they took it away for like a month or 2 months, and then it came out, and everyone assumed, this is pretty much the full release now.
Yep.
I gave one of the codes away in the chat 1 week for that. So
with a working store, and I'm pretty sure
it is
on Xbox's app they had like perks and things for like Multiversus characters. or
They had
skins.
perks
Yeah.
for one of the Multiversus characters.
So it was a fully functional game that they've now turned around and said, no, it was just in beta all that time, and it's going to be closed in beta, and we're going to bring it out again. We're going to bring it out officially next year. But you don't implement a store into a beta. You don't do it.
This feels to me like they've like you said, not enough sales. They're a bit worried about it, and it feels like they want to try and rebrand it and relaunch it.
This is
Maybe.
exactly what happens when you release a live service game and you don't have a plan.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah, I
a
reckon it
roadmap
would
set
not-
out.
I would not be surprised if it doesn't come out with either a subtitle, so Multiversus something or other, or it comes out with a new name and the subtitle is Multiversus.
Yeah.
You know, and they try and sell it as a new game. Like for those people who don't know what's gone in the first place, they'll just see a new big splash screen. Here's this new game, and it'll look like a new game to those people who don't know, and it'll bring in more people again. I could see that happening.
But so they had like this
Tricky move, though.
pre-season pass for it that came out when the beta first hit, and then they had a season 1. Okay, if it's in beta, why has it got a season 1? I'm not sure if it had a season 2 because I tapped out at that point and I haven't paid attention to the game for a while. And this is a game that won Fighting Game of the Year at the Game Awards, if I'm correct.
I think it
In
did,
beta, not even its full release. So is that going to be eligible for another award when it's fully released?
You got a good point. It shouldn't be. They should disqualify it.
They should have that award stricken from them.
Boxy, what's your thoughts on
Not that it will.
on this mad situation?
Absolutely disgusting. Listen, in this day and age, our developers should know how to treat customers, because that's what we are. We are customers. We spend our hard-earned money on games and the stuff they create, and you should respect that. And obviously, something like that is like simply a punch in the face of our customers. So, yeah, honestly, it disgusts me. And what else is there to say?
Nothing.
So I think for the people that don't know about this, that did buy these founders packs, that have taken a break from the game, say they install this game after June and they go, oh shit, I can't play it. Why? And they're Googling it. And then they find out, oh, the game's been taken off till next year.
Yeah.
So I can't access all my content that I spent hundreds of pounds on.
Yeah.
It's not right.
To be honest with you,
It isn't.
It needs called out, and in this industry, that it's the only one I've seen where a game is released in beta that's offered microtransactions. It should never have been allowed to happen. It should have been called out, but again, they didn't. The second time it released, they didn't act like it was a beta. They act like that was the release.
They treated it like it was a full launch, as if characters were going to keep coming to the game on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and now they're walking back on that and saying, no, it was a beta, and the beta's closing in June, and we're going to launch it next year. Like, no, fuck off with that. You know that's BS. You know you launched the game after 2 betas, and it hasn't done what
This is just another one of those point in cases where consumers are going to get pissed off with buying live service elements, microtransactions, and they're going to go, I'm not doing that in future.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
I was just about to say that. Remember when we had the discussion about Justice League?
Yes.
And we were all like, oh, okay, why are people so mad about cosmetics and an optional cosmetical battle pass and things like that? That's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
because people
reason.
have been
People
burnt
are
too many times.
disgusted. Exactly.
You got games like Avengers that basically they said they're quitting. They're not making content for that game. They're not supporting that game. Those servers will be up for a time, but there'll be nothing new coming to that game. And this is exactly why. And everyone that bought skins up until that point where they made them all free, they're super pissed off about that.
No doubt. No doubt.
And they're not going to get refunds for what they've purchased.
Yep. And they did that, I remember the years ago, and this is going back a little bit, but I remember years ago where they started doing that with COD. They'd bring out these really hard to get. You've got to complete like the hardest challenges in Call of Duty Online to unlock these mad gun skins, and then they'd put them on the store for like £10. No, like, are you taking the? Are you taking the? Like,
Yeah.
you made these the hardest to get skins, and now anybody can just go out there and buy them. What's the point? Like, sometimes.
Yeah, but that's also the same thing that you had with PUBG. Is what I said before. Is that it's a game. It costs like €10 or something now.
Yeah.
If you buy it, but the thing that they put in the game, where you actually need to spend like, because I seen streamers buying a gun skin, and you can like process, you can get more attachments and that kind of stuff on your gun, but you actually need to spend money on it. And there was actually streamers that like spent like €1,000 on completing one skin for one weapon. You know, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you know, like basically it's stealing from people.
Yeah.
If you I can say it like that, you know, and it's insane. It's that, and especially if it's like you guys said, it's a beta, because I'm not familiar with a Multiverse, and I seen some stuff, but it's crazy, you know, like that's a thing that they cannot like do to people.
No. Completely agree.
Insane.
There ought to be some rule
It's
against
ridiculous. This game was praised by so many people when it came out, and then they pull this stupid fucking 180.
Yeah.
Basically, tell you bollocks. You don't get your content
really-
until the game comes out properly.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point. It's the perfect example where greed gets in the way of success.
Yeah.
Because the game had the mindshare of the community. And this is really hard to gain in this day and age, to have
Yeah,
this
and it was a-
momentum where everyone is talking about the game, where we had that with other games like, I don't know, Fall Guys or something. It was this kind of thing. And if you do it right, and if you don't do it invasive and in a fair way, they could have made millions, and now the game is dead.
No.
And now they've stung people as well, because when the game fully comes out, people are less likely inclined to purchase microtransactions.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're coming up to the end of the show today. But before I do, I want to ask Pat, because we know obviously in the background you've been playing. So, early impressions.
I'm pretty sure
on
I've heard the
Forza
achievement unlock
Horizon
sound about
Rally
9 times.
DLC. Go on, Pat. What's your early impressions of the Forza Horizon Rally Adventure DLC?
Too
They're
short.
really
He's
cool.
Too short. He's already 100%ed it.
No. It's the expansion is really nice. It's you have like different kind of ways that you want to race. You can like use driver line, but they also ask you to not use it for like a better experience and stuff. The cars are really great in the game as well. Of course, it looks really good. And it's like they have a new feature to this game. So you're actually racing by yourself, but at the same time, you're racing against like AIs. And you need to set the most quickest time. So yeah, and it's quite a challenge, but it's really good so far. So
Awesome stuff.
Have you come across the fully destructible forest yet?
yeah, the palm trees.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is. It is. You can just drive straight through it, and
Okay.
it's really good.
Can we wrap up the show? I want to play as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, indeed.
And Jen's itching to get on Hunt Showdown as well.
Yep, because a new update came out today. So we've all got something to play.
I'm gonna do the first big race now, because I completed all the dirt races.
So you've got a showcase race.
I have a showcase race. Yeah.
Nice.
No spoilers.
Yeah. So, of course, yes, for those who are itching to play it, and for those in chat who are playing it and listening at the same time, I hope you're enjoying it too. So, of course, the Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventure DLC is out for those who have got the Ultimate Edition or the Season Pass now. Of course, that is available to download as we speak and play as we speak. A new event, a new season starts as well this Friday. That brings an additional 4 cars in the festival playlist, new to Forza cars, so they've never been in the game before. as well as a brand new nighttime event. You've got 40 plus new body kits. You have, of course, the anti-lag system, which has been added to all cars with available turbo, or any cars you add turbo to. You have loads of new wide bodies, as mentioned. You've got the trucks, so large trucks and off-roaders and 4x4s also have big tires now, so huge off-road tires that you can add to them, which brings again another level of awesomeness to it. But overall, a boatload of new content that's released, and this is again another example of when live service games do it correctly, and they bring you awesome content that stays there. And is very enjoyable. On that note, let's wrap this up. And everybody else who's waiting to play this game or has held off playing this game, I mean, not my panel members, for instance, can go and play that. And of course, you can all go and enjoy the rest of the evenings as well. Let's do our outros first and foremost. Boxy, let people know where they can find you, brother, and what you've got coming up.
It's very easy to find my channel because it's Boxenberger everywhere. And of course, Dutch, we have an awesome show lined up tomorrow, The World of Gaming, at 7 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Central Europe, or 2 p.m. Eastern. We have lots of topics. Some of them you covered already today. But as always, we have a lot of cool topics that a lot of people missed this week. So looking forward to that. And other than that, I'm around the socials. I'm online on Xbox Live this weekend a lot, probably. So yeah, I hope to see you there, guys.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Next up, the General C. Let people know where they can find you, brother, and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, I'll be back to streaming tomorrow, and you can find me pretty much everywhere. The General C, it's the name below mine, my General C name here, the app. That's my name pretty much everywhere. Yeah, I'll be back to streaming tomorrow, Hunt Showdown, and I'm going to be jumping off to play Hunt Showdown immediately.
Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. Pat, you let people know where they can find you, brother, and what you've got coming up.
Well, main socials, of course, Twitter, where I post all kind of things, videos, pictures, that kind of stuff. Well, as you guys know, playing Forza Horizon 5 Rally expansion, so definitely play it, guys, if you didn't yet do it. And I'm actually busy with the setup right here. Also, today I did some cable management. And tomorrow I get my new network cable, so I'm gonna work that also out. And I cannot wait actually till end of the month, and then I'm gonna look for a new laptop. So, yeah.
Nice. Then your stream gets a nice new overlay.
Yep. So we can help you get set up with OBS then.
Yeah, awesome. I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait.
Awesome.
And then I don't have this problem, like lagging out of the podcast and stuff. So
Definitely.
yeah, man.
Awesome stuff. Last but not least, of course, Mick. Let people know where they can find you, brother, and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, Xbox Mick29, pretty much everywhere. Just Mick29 on the Xbox itself. And you can find me on Tuesdays with yourself and Jen and the rest of the crew. And usually Sundays with Sightless Combat, although he's having a couple of weeks off. So last week and this week, I think, we're not doing anything. But other than that, yeah, usually Tuesdays and Sundays for me. And yourself here every Wednesday.
Indeed. Absolutely awesome. And of course, for everybody in chat who turned up this evening, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your chats in there. The chat's been active as hell. It's been good to see. A lot of awesome conversations going on in there. Some funny conversations as well between people. But it's always good fun.
I just remembered we missed a topic.
No, we didn't. Move on.
No.
No.
I was going to jump in there and say Skies of Acadia, the remaster's coming.
No, stop.
I know someone in chat who's very happy about that.
No. Don't know what you're talking about. Nothing happened.
Time out.
Nothing happened there. Nothing to talk about.
Rolling time on this podcast.
But yes, thank you to everybody who joined us this evening. Of course, if you did enjoy the show, either watching it live or if you're watching it on demand, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you did enjoy it, or if you didn't enjoy it, of course. And please, if you have any comments or anything, please leave them down below. But other than that, hope everybody has an awesome evening. Enjoy the rest of your show. Again, you can find me everywhere at WandrinDutch, right here every Wednesday for the Midweek Mix-Up podcast. Back again this Sunday for the weekend edition, and every Tuesday, of course, with Mick and the crew for Save Tuesdays. Additionally, you can find me on the World of Gaming with Boxy every Thursday, on prime time every evening on a Wednesday with Boom and Friends. And yes, until next time, guys, have an awesome evening, and we'll see you all later. Goodbye.
Living every day in your head for free. You can tap away, but I will not hear you scream. You can break the keys, spread your toxicity, your world outside reality. In your room, a little hideaway, but you let it through. Enough to go insane, living in the dark hasn't treated you well. You're building your own prison cell. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Did I brush you off? Is it your lack of friends? We never met, even if you pretend. Am I in your debt? I don't owe you nothing. Don't say something you'll regret. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, lies telling you, don't waste it on me. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, life's telling you, don't waste it on me. Rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, life's telling you, don't waste it. I'm telling you, don't waste it. Life's telling you, don't waste it on me. Ice and flames call my name. I freeze, I burn, I blame. I love, I hate the same. It's on my face, I cannot hide from the mistake my parents made. I'm never moving on. Not made from love, a remnant of a selfish motive. Was I needed? Do I need it to go wrong? Polarized, inherent pain pumping through my veins. Ice and flames call my name. I freeze, I burn, I blame. But is it wrong for me to fight against the balance of my power? History in halves, one brain. I will break the chain. Oh no, tokori wa yobu. Moeru rame koru to boku no ai to kirai ni iru.